Today I fucked up by calling my dead client's son. So this happened roughly a few months ago and I am still in shock. For context, I work in luxury automotive on the service side. I see a lot of high-profile people and people who are just absolutely loaded. I had a client come in for repairs this winter on his vehicle. We were doing quite a bit of work and he just wanted to make sure he had it by the summer. Sure thing. So as we work on it, I'm calling him or emailing him once every 2 weeks or so just to update him on where we are with his vehicle. Eventually around the middle of January, guy just goes complete radio silence. No one can get a hold of him. I called him, his wife, his dill, nothing from anyone. His son eventually calls me in the end of March and goes, "Hey, is my dad's car ready yet? He just woke up out of a coma and wants to drive it." First thing out of this guy's mouth was wanting to drive his car. Car was done and I set a delivery date up with this dude and his kid. It was literally the next day. Keep in mind, we did about $20K worth of work on the car. It's getting close to the end of the month, so I'm trying to get this car out the door. The client calls me the next morning and confirms the total for the repair order and tells me he wants to do a grand delivery. So I stage the car up front, make sure it's all washed and pretty for the guy. Well, his delivery window comes and goes, and he's a no-show. I pulled the car in, called the client and he answered, but it sounded like he was in an amusement park with all the noise behind him. I couldn't hear anything he was saying, and eventually he just hung up. So I give it 20 minutes and call the son, who was supposed to come with his dad, and the son answers. We chat for a good 10 minutes or so just making chit-chat and he goes, "Sorry, we can't get the car today." And I asked if he wanted it delivered, or if there was anything I could help with. This man goes, "Well, getting there is not the issue. The issue is my dad died about 30 minutes ago." I'm still not sure what I said to get off the phone, but I just remember hanging up, turning to my boss, telling him what just happened, and staring at the wall feeling like a piece of shit for the final 10 minutes of my day. Too long did not read. I accidentally called my client while he was dying to try to get him to pick up his car, and then talked to his son 30 minutes after he did die. Real life doesn't stop when tragedy hits. It's not your fault for following through at a bad time. It might be a good idea to include a small gesture of sympathy and kindness when you do finally hand over the vehicle, though. That was absolutely not your fault. But if he talked to you for 10 minutes right after his dad died, it's a fair assumption that he may have just needed someone to talk to at that time. Grief is weird and it hits different for different people. My grandfather died about an hour before the usual guy came to mow the lawn. A lot of the family was over and I know he felt like crap, but to us as family, we were glad it was a thing we didn't have to worry about. You did your job as a professional. Regardless of timing, I'm sure his family is similarly glad that they don't have to worry about the car that the father obviously very much valued. There's no way to have known that, but I'd have moved to the other side of the globe because of that. Aw man. That's rough, but there's nothing you could have done to avoid that. You didn't do anything wrong. I'd probably feel bad too, though. Shame he didn't get to see his car. Not your fault, op. Today I fucked up by trying to do it in the car. I took a girl I like on a date where we bought some sandwiches and went on a nice walk around my local wetlands. After a couple hours, she mentioned that we haven't had sex in a while and that she was hoping that we could do it again. To tell the truth, I didn't really want to, but I agreed since I do like her and didn't want her to think I wasn't interested in her anymore. We're both in our 20s and live with our parents, so we don't exactly have our own place, so the only option was my car. So once it got dark, we drove to a more secluded area away from houses and got started. Once things started getting good, a car came by and it started turning around. We thought it was just going to drive away, but instead some people came out and threw eggs at my car and then quickly drove away laughing. I got pissed, so we drove somewhere where we could finish in peace. I didn't start cleaning the eggs off my car until I got home, and turns out eggs are harder to clean than I thought. I spent about an hour trying to clean the eggs off my car since just blasting it with my water hose didn't work. Probably 'cause I took too long and didn't clean it off right away. The pricks actually managed to put some chip off a small bit of paint, and once it's bright out again I'll check to see if there are any small dents. Too long did not read. Tried having sex in the car in a secluded area but ended up with people throwing eggs at my car. Motels, man.
Eggs are worse than bird poo when it comes to the damage they will do to your paint. You need to get that stuff off ASAP. Once it dries and bakes in the sun, your paint is gonna be more screwed than you were.
Sounds like they were just egging you on. Car sex is a bit overrated.
Last time I had car sex, my interior alarms went off, and when I started the car again it said it detected a collision and asked that I wanted to contact support.
That's a pretty dope story to tell lol, not a TIFU.
Yeah, my girl was basically begging for it, so we pulled off to the side of the road, and as I was just hammering, just getting up in there, some kids drove by and egged our car. But it didn't faze me. I was fucking like a silverback ape, straight bananas. She wanted a change of scene, so we moved to another spot and the climax was basically a cinematic masterpiece.
Anyways, had a couple dents and eggs to clean up off the car, which eventually came off.
But the stains she left soaking in my seats never came out, and to be frank, I intend to keep it that way.
Aw yes, having segs.